name is Jeffrey Chimamanda. I'm a 23-year-old Nigerian male living in the United States, and I just wanted to make a video, kind of like just saying what I've learned in my 23 years of life, but more so in like the past 4 years. Um, I guess I will start with a backstory. Um, I met this girl off Tinder when like my first 6 months of college, or after my first 6 months of college. It's in 2018, I think, February. We got together, had our first date, did the stuff and whatever. And let's just call her Sunflower. Let's go with that. And I really thought, no, I knew that I loved Sunflower. I was only 18, but me now being 23, I know that I loved her. The beginning of the relationship was rough, right? Um, we were both young, which is understandable. And sorry, my hair's absolutely crazy. Um, but I don't give a fuck. I really don't. Um, yeah, we were both young. She still was downloading apps, dating apps, even though I thought we were exclusive. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart to know that she was still able to send nudes to other guys. Um, yeah, pushed my self-esteem really, really low, you know. And I found out, and I forgave her for it. I kind of just glossed over it. I tried my best to not think anything of it. Um, and let me hold that thought real quick. I'm also like talking about this just to help other young men like me or even younger, going through um, like the same dynamic, or maybe they have gone through the same dynamic and they're trying to get through life because shit's hard for us, we're dudes. um, Emotions are kind of rarely ever thought of in relationships, especially. Um, but yeah, going back to my story, yeah, shit sucked. I didn't like feeling that way, but I still stayed with her because it. I guess maybe in hindsight, it was like hindsight's 2020, of course. In hindsight, she was like the only person that kind of gave me any kind of attention. Because at this point in time, I was a crusty looking guy, um, I didn't have like any of my piercings or anything like that. My hair was short as fuck. I was your typical, Nigerian fob. Um, but yeah, fast forward a little bit. Um, I was starting to get really into fitness. I mean, I've always been into fitness my entire life, but I was starting to get really into it. And um, Sunflower, the girl, she was a heavier set woman. She wasn't that tall, but she was she was relatively overweight, and she constantly told me that how she felt about her body and how she wanted to lose weight and feel better about herself. And I wanted to help her. I wanted to help her out. Um, the way that my mom taught me how to get over things and get things done was kind of like through, I don't want to say like negative reinforcement, but my mom was harsh on me, super harsh. And I'm gonna keep saying this throughout the entire video. Hindsight is 2020. I think my mom was only harsh because of my dad and um, how he treated her. Um, my mom really wanted her kids to do well, very well, because she obviously knew that my dad wasn't really going anywhere. Um, so life was tough. A lot of issues, a lot of insecurities, a lot of solitude, not being able to hang out with friends and stuff like that. But I kind of adopted the way that my mom taught people, which was through negativity. I I'm not perfect. I'll never be perfect. I would tell Sunflower, like maybe if we're having like a like a lunch at McDonald's or Taco Bell, I'd be like, "Are you sure you want to eat that?" Or she started going to the gym a little bit. I'd ask her. I'd constantly ask her, have you gone to the gym today? Um, if you haven't, when are you gonna go? And it was a little confusing to me because she said that she wanted to get to this point, but her actions weren't really matching that, and I was getting frustrated. I got frustrated because I really wanted to help this girl. I love this girl. Um, and it just kept getting worse and worse. I eventually got to the point where I said that her body was disgusting. And that hurt her. That hurt her a lot. I never mean to hurt her that way. Um, it was at that point where at this point, like we were also seeing each other a lot. It was very unhealthy. We kind of both failed out of our colleges. Um, it was really bad, really bad. I had a full ride to this college, and as soon as I got my first girlfriend, I fucked up. um, Shit sucked, man. Shit sucked real bad. But I don't regret it. I do not regret it right now, and I'll go more into that later. But yeah, very unhealthy relationship at the beginning. Um, I called her disgusting. I said her body was disgusting, and she got. I feel like I broke her a little bit. I never meant to, really. All I really wanted to do was help her, and my way of teaching was obviously bad. The worst I could have done for someone like her, because so this is another point that I'll get into a bit more later. But people, no one is the same. People are not the same. People don't learn the same. I don't learn the same from a lot of people. I'm more of a person that is like I'm a go-getter. Like you tell me that I'm doing shit wrong, you put me down, I'll get right back up and I'll go even harder. And she wasn't that kind of person. She's a lot more emotional than I was. And it took me a while to understand that. And we went on like that, I guess. Um, it took me until I started going back to community college to really start getting her, if that makes sense. I tried my best to absorb the information that was being taught to me in communications class specifically. Um, I want to be a better communicator for her. My whole thing is just trying to become a better person in general. And I was shitty at that from from my early years, at least like 18 to 22 or 18 to 20. Um, would have a lot of relapses for sure. I would kind of go. Sometimes I would go back to the same method of trying to help her, and I knew it was wrong, but it was like the only way that I felt like would work, if that makes sense. And I felt like no other way would work because of the way that I could enact it, if that makes sense. But eventually, we got to a point where I was able to kind of steer her in in a way more suitable to her learning style. And notice how I'm like saying like, oh, like steer, teacher, stuff like that. That's another problem that we had that I'll get into later. Um, but yeah, eventually, we were getting better. We were getting a lot better with communication, and we were just I guess I don't know. We began to focus more on ourselves, and like I focused more on school, especially when I started going to community college. Because when I dropped out of my 4 year university, I got depressed. Um, I started focusing more on school. I started focusing more on myself. I started trying to focus more on I guess creating a better relationship with my mother. Um, and I hoped that she would have done the same, but unfortunately, it wasn't the case. Um, so we fast forward 3 years into a relationship. She we had like a little scuffle, a little argument over the phone, um, and it somehow ended up with me saying that I do not believe that you are as mentally hardened as I am, and it struck a nerve in her, and I realized what I had done. Like I said, I'm not perfect. I'm a dick. I can be a dick the most inopportune times. Um, but it kind of caused her to shut down because, and I understand this now. It kind of made her feel like I was making her feel as if she was unequal to me, which was not what I wanted to do. But I will own up to it and say that it is what I did, and I apologized. I realized not even 5 minutes after what I did, but she had already shut down. She kind of she called me back and said that let's go on a break. I was like, okay. I mean, I apologize, but I understand. You know, you shouldn't put people down. Just people are just different. We're gonna come back to that though in a few minutes here. Yeah, I'm on a break. It was for about a week, and I was sad. I was very very sad. I would call her. I'll call her every single day, multiple times a day, trying to get in touch with her, but she would maybe pick up like maybe once every other day, and it I don't know. It seemed weird to me at the time, but I understand we were on a break, so I couldn't really say much. But um, we'll come back to that week though. That week was something. Um, so after that week, she called me back saying that you're right, Jeff. I am not as mentally as strong as you, but I want to learn how to be. And I was absolutely floored. I was like, what? What are you talking about? What I said was, I felt like what I said was bullshit. So I was just completely surprised for her to try and say that she agreed with me. And hindsight is 2020. I realized she said that because she had cheated that week on our break. Shit sucked. I really thought that Sunflower was the girl that could have never, ever done anything like that. But I realized that humans are humans. People will do what they want to do. And that's a fact. Um, but even before this, she already had Tinder downloaded like a month before. And that was when our relationship was going really well. And I found this out like later in the line. And I chalked it up to being like, it is what it is. Um, I really don't want to go into the details about like, I guess like about like, because there's kind of a more deeper reason back in from her childhood about why she cheated, but um, I don't think I'm not gonna disclose that information about her. Actually, it doesn't matter because I'm calling her Sunflower. Sorry, I'm not editing this, so it is what it is. Um, but Sunflower, she was as a young girl, she wasn't taken care of like she should have been by her family. She went through some shit that really fucked her up mentally, and I don't want to say it's attributed to her Christian household, but I do know her mom kind of swept everything under the rug about what happened to her, and so it kind of caused her to have a different relationship when it comes to um, sex and whatnot. That's as far as when I'm gonna go. Um, and so from that fact, I understood where she was coming from, and I wanted to enact absolute empathy upon her because I love this girl. I love this girl to death. When I say I would do anything for her, I would do anything for her, and that is something that I could bet my life on at that point in time. Um, and so we tried to work it out. We worked through it, you know. Um, and mind you, this is the third year into the relationship. Um, it was hard, very hard. For one, I was still kind of in disbelief in the fact that she could ever do something like that. And at the same time, she was also going through some really hard stuff as well, mainly from the guilt of cheating. Because when you really love someone and you cheat on them, you love them, and you cheat on them, but I'm not gonna say it was out of her control, but it happened, and I know that she loved me. I know she did. She fucked up. She messed up. Humans will be humans. We all make mistakes. We're not perfect. But the fact that she was willing to try with me, the fact that she was willing to atone for what she did, it kind of put her in a higher pedestal in my mind at that point in time. Um, so I was like, dang man, this girl man, she really loves me. Like she cheated. Even though she cheated, like she's doing her best to make up for what she did, genuinely. And I ran with it. I rolled with it. I rolled through the punches. Went through a lot of pain, cried a lot. All that jazz. We both cried a lot, but we eventually got to a point, and this was very recent, like maybe like last month, almost exactly a month ago. Yeah, February, around my birthday. Um, but she just couldn't do it anymore. I thought we were doing really well. The What seemed like to be the impetus was when um like we're in a long distance relationship, mind you. Um, we're like maybe 2 hours apart, and she kind of she went out with her friends. It was something super simple, of course. She went out with her friends, and I was like, okay, have fun, man, have fun. I felt like something was a little weird though, because like when she came back after hanging out with her friends, she didn't even bother to call me. I just wanted to make sure she was safe. I don't know if you're alive. I don't know if you're drinking or anything. I didn't ask you any of those questions. And I didn't want to call her because I didn't want to interrupt her girl time. Um, and so I called her. I was a little upset because she didn't call me, and I explained to her that I'm not gonna call you because I don't know exactly what you're doing with your girlfriends. I didn't want to be rude, so I got a little upset with that, and all of a sudden, the very next day, she said we need to talk. I was like, okay, let's talk. She called me on the phone. By the way, I was at my mom's house at the time. She said that she meditated, and then something clicked in her head. She said that I am not myself when I'm with you. This is the girl that said that she was not herself when she was around her family, but said she told me that she was only herself when she was with me. And so naturally, I was very, very confused. Um, I cried like a bitch. Cried like a bitch. Um, the breakup lasted for a month, actually up until a few days ago, and I just did not understand why she couldn't be with me, but still work on becoming more of an individual herself. And this is like I said before, this is like like guys out there that like have gone through this shit or are going through this shit. Like I feel for you and I understand you. It really sucks because I understood why she wanted to or why she needed to leave. I rationalized it. This is how I rationalized it. So, when talking to her, over the last month, because we were still going through the breakup, I kind of asked her like, you cheated, I went through this pain with you, I stayed with you while, going through this shit, because I love you. I always say I love you, I love you, I love you, just because I love you. That was the only reason I gave. Hindsight 2020, man. um, um, but she just said that she can't do it. She just can't do it, and it's a very vague answer, but at the same time it was quite specific because we're all humans, right? In that fact, we're the same. But in the fact that we're different is that we're all different. The way we learn, the way we absorb things, the way that we love, the way that we hate, everything is different. The way that we feel is different. And so over this past month, I had to understand that she was just different. I am the type of person that is able to handle that kind of pain, and still be with that person. And that's okay. Completely fine with that. I can deal with the pain. Although I'm not going to anymore, but I know I can do it. And she is the kind of person that knows that she would not be able to deal with it. She knows that she would fall back into her comfort space, which was me, and not be able to genuinely grow herself as an individual. And for that fact, I do appreciate her. I do appreciate that she was able to be upfront with me. Still sucked. And in the beginning, I still didn't understand, but I understand now. So for you guys out there, really, and for me too, because I'm gonna look back to this video and be like, Man, what am I talking about here, bro? I'm in my late 20s now. What was I talking about here, bro? What, like what how have I grown? For you guys out there, I want you guys to understand that you are your own person. You cannot change anybody. You cannot force anybody to do anything. All you can do is control your reactions to things around you. All you can do is do your best to understand the person within you. Um, there's this excerpt from Marcus Aurelius Meditations. Great book, by the way. Great book. Um, it says, I believe is the beginning of book two. And this has to deal with the dynamic of human beings. And I encourage you to anyone to get this book and at least just read this particular excerpt every day, so that you in the future just understand more and don't get hurt. When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil, but have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own, not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. And so none of them can hurt me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. We were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel anger at someone, to turn your back on him, these are obstructions. So I read that to say, unless your girlfriend cheated on you and did it out of spite, and I say fuck her, fuck her, okay? But if she did you wrong and she has remorse for it, she felt guilty and she did her best to atone, and you know that she still loves you, and let her go, man. Let her go. Like, if you love her enough, you'll understand that. Okay, she's kind of clinging on, like with my situation, she clinged on to me way too much. Like I said, I was gonna go back to this. Like I said, I was teaching her a lot about life. I was teaching her a lot about how to be um, more frugal with her money, how to practice delayed gratification. And it was in a relationship. It had almost like a mentor student dynamic, and that's not good. That's not good for any relationship, right? A relationship should be two mentors teaching each other, two masters teaching each other. It should never be a master and a student, because you just have this weird dynamic where the student is constantly looking for validation from the master, and eventually the master just gets fucking tired, and the student, seeing that the master is tired, just kind of closes up, and that's what we had. That's what I had with her. I'm not saying I'm perfect or anything. I'm not. I'm not. I don't. I wouldn't even label myself a master. But in our particular dynamic, I would be considered the master. Um, but at the end of the day, we both had things that we had to work on when it came to us as individuals. And I understood that. But what you have to focus on is the after. Don't let your breakups consume you, right? Don't let your breakups determine how your mind will be from now on. Don't become an incel. That's bullshit, in my opinion. Incels are like some of the most ridiculous people on earth. Like, not every girl is gonna be the same. There are good women out there for everyone. Promise. There are a lot of bad women, but there are also a lot of bad men. So don't forget that. I feel like people forget that the world is 50% good and 50% bad, and you should just assume that. Don't assume that it's all bad. Don't assume that's all good, because you get fucked. Okay. But like I said, after your bittersweet breakup, focus on yourself. You know, don't wallow in your sadness. You will ruin yourself. You will ruin yourself. I can speak from experience, unfortunately. But this book getting me through that shit. Um, Another book is this one, and I'm currently reading it. I'm like halfway through it. You Can, If You Think You Can, by Norman Vincent Peale. Um, I highly recommend getting this book. It kind of touches on the idea of just looking within yourself, I guess. Understanding that you as a human being, you have the power. Your mental capacity is enough to do whatever you want in this life. And don't take defeat for an answer. If you feel defeated by your most recent breakup, don't take defeat for an answer, dude. Get up. Pick yourself up. Journal if you have to. I journal every day now. Write your feelings down. Feeling your feelings is not a bad thing. And I hate this masculine culture where it's like, oh man, I can push away these feelings and just, keep on grinding. No, man. My whole philosophy on feelings is that you have them. They're not going to go away. You need to do everything you can to feel those feelings. Because once you've exhausted the feeling of those feelings, then eventually they'll go away. Eventually they'll become a part of you. Eventually they become something that motivates you. Those feelings. You need to feel everything that you can. Because if you feel everything you can, right now, you get through a lot faster instead of pushing it away. If you push it away, it just postpones the feeling for later. And that's going to suck even more because feelings fester in the most, or they can fester in the most horrible ways. So cry. Cry. Cry like a bitch. Sit down in your bathtub and fucking cry. Turn the water on. Don't drown yourself though. Don't drown yourself. Turn the water on. Fucking cry, man. You know? Just feel those feelings. Because it's gonna suck. But from what I've learned from meditations is that, and from If You Can, If You Think You Can. Sorry, the camera's being okay. Um, is that we all have the power within us to overcome any problem that comes our way. The more problems that you have in your life, the more that you are alive. Because think of it this way: if you have no problems in your life, you're just chilling. There's nothing that you have to do. There's no thinking that you have to do. That makes sense. And human beings were provided with a brain to think, right? We were provided with a brain to solve problems. Problems are not a bad thing. The fact that your girlfriend broke up with you, it sucks, of course. But it's not a bad thing. I hope that you young men out there, people my age, people younger than me, people maybe even older than me, can understand that any kind of problem that comes your way, you can, as a human being, look at it as a way to increase yourself, to make yourself better. I always have this like little like I always I always like think like, especially now in my life. I'm 23, like I'm about to go into nursing school. Everything that comes my way, every kind of interaction that I have with human beings, any kind of problem that I face, any kind of thing that goes wrong, I want to absorb it. I want to look at it meticulously. I want to take it into my body and make it into something positive because I know I can. I know my brain is able to wrap around all of these different kinds of problems and make myself into a more ultimate being in a sense. I say this to my brother a lot, Jarvis. You are not your mistakes. No one is. I made a fuck ton of mistakes, and I'm not proud of how I treated Sunflower um, in my relationship. I never will be. But I do know that I learned a lot from my relationship with her. And to this day, it's only been a couple of days, but I'm, I'm getting better. To this day, I love her. I love her, and I will continue to love her. Not as a romantic partner, but as another human being.